And here we are. Welcome, everybody, one and all, to the one and the only Junk Shop Library channel. For those of you unfamiliar, we have a shtick here we call Improv Bible Study, where we read every last word of the King James Bible of 1611 because it's the one in the public domain. And then we tear at a new asshole. This channel also is absolutely positively under no circumstances whatsoever for children, because we talk about the Bible, we spare no expenses, we pull no punches, we give no mercy, we take no quarter, just like God. With that out of the way, I see the chat blurring past. Let's see who's here. Junk Shop is sufficiently caffeinated for the day. Yeah, Dave was helping me out with some channel stuff here at the beginning. I think I've got that set up, and I thank you for that. Hello, Morton. Hello, a bit of tea and Danish. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, Julie LaVoice and Mr. Shadow Kitty. All the cool kids are here. They are all hugging. Social distancing, people, for shame. Paul Camish is in the house. Yes, I am indeed back. Let's see if I remain back for the duration of this stream. I tried to give my poor, long-suffering computer a bit of a rest over the weekend, and we shall see what we shall see. All right. Yeah. All right, and I have been publicizing the shit out of this stream today, so hopefully we'll get a few more of the cool kids in here. And thanks again to Dave for pointing out that section I could add to my homepage that makes it a little easier for newbies to find these streams. All right, Morton does not have to work until Wednesday. Hopefully that's a good thing and not a bad thing. If it's a good thing, I celebrate that and hope you enjoy your time off. If that's a bad thing, I'm so sorry, my friend. Paul says it's looking good so far. All right. Well, I got a little bit of housekeeping to launch into before we dive into Holy Writ. First and foremost, as always, a massive, massive thank you to my patrons, Paul Camish and Brainbug, who have given us the beautiful, beautiful microphone, which allows you to hear me loud and clear in any of the many funny voices that I do. Even when I rock out like a demented circus preacher, like happened last week. I went back and watched that, and that was a weird trip, and I'm glad y'all stuck with me through it. Godless Granny is here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, well, hang on. Dave says, does that mean you guys are going to be about to be dragged onto dumb questions? It's possible. Who knows? Who knows what the gods of technology have in store for us? Oh, Julie's talking about lag. I don't like the sound of that. All right. Well, I also want to say a quick hello to some new folks who have joined us here in the library. I saw my numbers go up a little over the weekend, but you ain't got your subscriptions made public, and I completely understand that, so I don't know who you are, and I understand the myriad and multiple reasons that that might be, including there's likely some I hadn't thought of. So, new people, welcome aboard. I hope you enjoy your stay, and I hope your stay is a long one. I haven't seen Joan in here yet. I don't know. Oh, Paul has shared me over on Facebook. Thank you, my friend. I myself do not do the Facebook, but if anyone wants to share me over on the Facebook, you of course feel free. Show me everywhere. Make Junk Shop famous. Because Junk Shop needs his attention. Y'all know that about me by now. Pardon me for slurping my coffee right into the mic there. Let's see. I thank my patrons. I've welcomed the new people. There's something else. Something else. Oh, thank you also to anyone who participated in the Big Green Hat game last week. I will be in touch over the next few days with all of you. And Linda, I need to pick your brain specifically about some stuff related to the Big Green Hat game, because I fear technology. I love it, but I fear it. Oh, Dave says hasn't seen Joan at all today. Hope she's okay. Joan, I know, at least was okay earlier today. She was having a lengthy and fascinating discussion in the comments under my video, How to Be a Crazy Hermit, from way back in Numbers, I believe it was. She and an interesting theist who follows me are having a rather in-depth discussion about the ins and outs of the Nazarite vow, which is lovely. I always assumed people would just get into ugly little tit-for-tat spiteful fights under my content. Never occurred to me there'd be honest intellectual debate going on, and I'm here for it. I am so happy right now. You have no idea. Oh, speak of the devil. Here's Joan. Hello, Joan. Welcome. Just talking about you. All righty. Well, I guess we'll jump right into it then. We have got, we're turning today to 2 Kings chapter 4. After the incredibly weird shit of chapter 3, I fear what comes. But I'm excited nonetheless. Chapter 4. Now there cried a certain woman of the wives of the sons of the prophets unto Elisha, saying, Thy servant my husband is dead, and thou knowest that thy servant did fear the Lord, and the creditor is come to take unto him my 2 sons to be bondmen. And Elisha said unto her, What shall I do for thee? Tell me, what hast thou in the house? And she said, Thine handmaid hath not anything in the house, save a pot of oil. Then he said, Go, borrow thee vessels abroad of all thy neighbors, empty vessels even, borrow not a few. And when thou art come in, thou shalt shut the door upon thee and upon thy sons, and shalt pour out into all those vessels, and thou shalt set them aside that which is full. So she went from him, and shut the door upon her and upon her sons, who brought the vessels to her, and she poured out. And it came to pass, when the vessels were full, that she said unto her son, Bring me yet a vessel. And he said unto her, There is not a vessel more. And the oil stayed. Then she came and told the man of God, and he said, Go, sell the oil, and pay thy debt, and live thou and thy children off the rest. And it fell on a day that Elisha passed to Shunem, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. And so it was, that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. And she said unto her husband, Behold now, I perceive that this is an holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. Let us make him a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed, and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be, when he cometh to us, that he shall turn in thither. And it fell on a day that he came thither, and he turned into the chamber, and lay there. And he said to Gehazi his servant, Call this Shunammite. And when he had called her, she stood before him. And he said unto him, Say now unto her, Behold, thou hast been careful for us with all this care. What is to be done for thee? Wouldest thou be spoken for to the king, or to the captain of the host? And she answered, I dwell among mine own people. And he said, What then is to be done for her? And Gehazi answered, Verily, she hath no child, and her husband is old. And he said, Call her. And when he had called her, she stood in the door. And he said, About this season, according to the time of life, thou shalt embrace a son. And she said, Nay, my lord, thou man of God, do not lie unto thine handmaid. And the woman conceived and bare a son at that season that Elisha had told unto her, according to the time of life. And when the child was grown, it fell on a day that he went out with his father to the reapers. And he said unto his father, My head, my head. And he said to a lad, Carry him to his mother. And when he had taken him and brought him to his mother, he sat upon her knees until noon, and then died. And she went up and laid him on the bed of the man of God, and shut the door upon him, and went out. And she called unto her husband, and said, Send me, I pray thee, one of the young men and one of the asses, that I may run to the man of God, and come again. And he said, Wherefore wilt thou go to him today? It is neither new moon nor Sabbath. And she said, It will be well. Then she saddled an ass, and said to her servant, Drive, and go forward. Slack not thy riding for me, except I bid thee. So she went and came to the man of God to Mount Carmel. And it came to pass, when the man of God saw her afar off, that he said to Gehazi his servant, Behold, yonder is the Shunammite. Run now, I pray thee, to meet her, and say unto her, Is it well with thee? Is it well with thy husband? Is it well with the child? And she answered, It is well. And when she came to the man of God unto the hill, she caught him by the feet. But Gehazi came near to thrust her away. And the man of God said, Let her alone, for her soul is vexed within her, and the Lord hath hid it from me, and hath not told me. Then she said, Did I desire a son of my Lord? Did I not say, Do not deceive me? Then he said to Gehazi, Gird up thy loins, and take thy staff in thine hand, and go thy way. If thou meet any man, salute him not, and if any salute thee, answer him not again, and lay my staff upon the face of the child. And the mother of the child said, As the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. And he arose and followed her. And Gehazi passed on before them, and laid the staff upon the face of the child. But there was neither voice nor hearing. Wherefore he went again to meet him, and told him, saying, The child is not awaked. And when Elisha came unto the house, behold, the child was dead, and laid upon his bed. He went in, therefore, and shut the door upon them twain, and prayed unto the Lord. And he went up, and lay upon the child, and put his mouth upon his mouth, and his eyes upon his eyes, and his hands upon his hands. And he stretched himself upon the child, and the flesh of the child waxed warm. Then he returned, and walked in the house to and fro, and went up and stretched himself upon him. And the child sneezed 7 times, and the child opened his eyes. And he called Gehazi, and said, Call this Shunammite. So he called her. And when she was come in unto him, he said, Take up thy son. Then she went in, and fell at his feet, and bowed herself to the ground, and took up her son, and went out. And Elisha came again to Gilgal, and there was a dearth in the land, and the sons of the prophets were sitting before him. And he said unto his servant, Set on the great pot, and seethe porridge for the sons of the prophets. And one went out into the field to gather herbs, and found a wild vine, and gathered thereof wild gourds his lapful, and came and shred them into the pot of pottage, for they knew them not. So they poured out for the men to eat. And it came to pass, as they were eating of the pottage, that they cried out, and said, O thou man of God, there is death in the pot, and they could not eat thereof. But he said, Then bring meal. And he cast it into the pot, and he said, Pour out for the people, that they may eat. And there was no harm in the pot. And there came a man from Baal Shalisha, and brought the man of God bread of the firstfruits, 20 loaves of barley, and full ears of corn in the husk thereof. And he said, Give unto the people, that they may eat. And his servitor said, What, should I set this before 100 men? He said again, Give the people, that they may eat. For thus saith the Lord, They shall eat, and shall leave thereof. So he set it before them, and they did eat, and left thereof, according to the word of the Lord. And there we've got chapter 4. Let's see what the chat had to say while that weirdness was going on. Come on, chat. Dooley dooley doo doo doo. Doo doo doo. Ah, the Daily Atheist is here. Welcome, amazing Super Chris. Welcome. Paul's thinking we may have some smiting. Well, there was sneezing. He'll be back. Weird jitter. Ah, yes. Paul says, and the good book is without contradiction. The good book's good because the good book says so. And it's the good book because it's good. And it just got weird, says Julie. I wonder when that comment could have come through. Oh, hey, Math Pig, welcome. All righty. Okay, so Elisha's still trying to figure out this prophet business. And he ain't got it yet. Because he's still under the impression that the prophet powers are confined to the magic objects of the prophet. He doesn't have a great deal of faith in the Lord, but he has faith in artifact magic. So firstly and foremostly, good. The miracle of the oil. Matt Big, listening as I drive. All right, well, eyes on the road. No more typing until you're done driving. We need our Math Pig, and we need him whole. So, a certain woman, no name, unsurprisingly, comes to Elisha and says, my husband is dead and he owed money. And the people he owed money to are come to take my children. Because that's how things worked at the time. It's Robert X. Welcome, my friend. Germany has joined us. Stuttering Chris has joined us. Everybody's hashtagging weird fucking book. Way to go, my smiters. Way to go. Jones got her hashtag back. Hallelujah. All right. Yes, Stuttering Chris, who knows what I did. Apparently. My Father, who sees what is in secret, will reward me. Does that make you my father, Christopher? Not for children, this stream. I said that emphatically at the beginning. Weird hecking book. All right, Chris, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. Okay. So The woman's creditors are going to come and take her children away, because that's how things worked back in the before times. And Elisha, taking after the method of his predecessor, Elijah, does not tell her everything's going to be okay. He sends her on some weird fucking errand instead. He says, I want you to go to all your neighbors' houses and borrow containers. Borrow their pitchers, borrow their cruises, borrow their fucking Tupperware, and take them all into your house and lock yourself in with your kids. She says, okay, you're the prophet. Prophet knows best. Paul says, we know what you did, and it was good. Okay. Okay. So she says, you're the prophet. I'll do what you say, no matter how bizarre. And so she goes around and she borrows containers, all of her neighbors, and goes into the house and locks her and her sons and her borrowed containers in the house. Elisha says, now, once you've done that, I want you to take the little bit of oil you've got left and pour it out into your various borrowed containers. So she does, and lo and behold, fairy tale magic happens, and there's enough to fill up all the containers and give her enough to sell and make good on her debts and make sure that her kids don't get sold off. It's not a very interesting story. It's just the same crap over again. This various forms of this story appear over and over and over in this book, in almost every other holy book, and in every collection of fairy tales you've ever fucking found in your life. I could mod Joan. Joan says no, she doesn't want to be. Robert says then he'd be the only non-mod here. Have we got one of those days where it's just a sea? Hey, anybody who doesn't want known quantity. Some days when we have to play Whack-A-Troll. All right, so this is just basic fairy tale magic. Nothing much to report. Which is fine, because the next story is fucking weird, even by the weird standards of this book. And I'm talking about 2 Kings, which has just been weird. I mean, the Bible has just been weird as fuck from about halfway through 1 Kings on to the present day. We have to held for review. That's what's going on. Okay. Yes, you're quite right. I tell you what, I'll fix that between now and next time, but I'm terrified to open another tab right now for fear of my computer getting all lost and confused. Good point, though, Morton. I forgot about the held for review. Y'all will have to take up Chris's hashtag and say weird hecking book. Now, Christopher, see what you started. See what you started. All right, so stick magic is what Elisha wants to do in the next story. There's this great woman who is unnamed. She's worth acknowledging as a great woman among the Shunammite, but she's not worth acknowledging by name. Yeah, Mathpix says, don't break the computer. Right, exactly. Okay, yeah, thank y'all for understanding. Okay. So, unsurprisingly, in this great landmark in the annals of feminism that is a holy Bible, this great woman among the Shunammite is unnamed. So is her husband for some reason. But she notices that there's this man of God who keeps passing back and forth through the city. And every time he passes by, she convinces him to come in for dinner. And after a while, it occurs to her that she could do more for him. So she goes to her husband and she says, let's build a spare room. Her husband says, okay, we'll build a spare room for the prophet of God. And they build a spare room for the prophet of God. And Elisha's happy enough to have a place to prop up his feet whenever he passes through Shunammite town, Beth Shunam, wherever it is that the Shunammite dwell. And one day he calls his servant Gehazi. You notice his servant Gehazi is named, even though this great woman among the Shunammite doesn't even get the courtesy of a name. Even her husband doesn't. Neither is it explained what's so fabulous about her. From context, I think we're supposed to take that she's rich, which in context means that her husband is rich. Because remember, she's married, not widowed, so she can't actually own anything because she's technically property. Don't you just love this book, y'all? Jesus fucking Christ. God is a disgusting misogynist, and I can prove it, and I stand by that. All right. So eventually Elisha says, you know what, Gehazi, we've been propping up our feet here every time we pass through Beth Shunem. And never have we ever done anything for this widow in return. My voice is strangely muffled, and I just realized it's because I've got my good-ass headphones on, which I don't actually need because I don't get audio in this current setup. It is Brainbug. The hive is in the house. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you, as always. Man, we got a full house here today, don't we? Awesome. And so Elijah sends his servant to summon the great woman of the Shunammite. And summoned, she comes. And here's where it gets weird. For the first time, this story is going to get much fucking weirder from here. He says to his servant, ask her what we can do for her. She says, I don't need anything. I'm cool. And the servant turns to Elisha and says, well, you know, she ain't got no son. And Elisha says, perfect. That is the absolute best hostess gift anybody could give to a person. And he says, woman, in 9 months, you're going to have a baby boy. She says, don't fib to me, man of God. My husband's older than shit. He says, you mark my words, woman. And he sends her on her way. Cut to 9 months later. Lo and behold, she pops out a miraculous bouncing baby boy. to when the child is grown. One, well, in the fields, and he sits with, I'm going to profit. Hey, it's Amiga Nuts. Welcome. Welcome, my shilling friend. How are you today? And her husband says to her, woman, how in the world are you going to find the man of God? He's not staying with us right now, and he's not going to be at the nearby temple because it's not one of the feast days he usually spends there. One of the heydays. Thank you, Joan. I like that. I saw that in the comments, and I liked it. Says he's not spending the heydays at the temple, so how the hell are you going to find him? She says, it will be fine, husband. So she and her servant saddle an ass, and she says to her servant, don't you fucking stop for anything unless it's at my word. And off they go, searching for the man of God. And they search for the man of God, and unsurprisingly, they find the man of God on a mountain. And Elisha turns to his servant and says, oh boy, check it out. I recognize her from a distance. It's that Shunammite woman I knocked up. Miraculously gave a baby to. He says, go find out what she wants. And Gehazi goes and intercepts this great Shunammite woman and says, hey, is everything good? Everything good with you and with hubby and with your miraculous bouncing baby boy? She says, everything is fine. I'm here to see the man of God. He says, okay, yes, ma'am. And they go up to the man of God together. And the woman, the great woman, approaches the man of God and takes hold of him by the feet and says, I've got something to say to you, prophet. And the servant pushes her aside. And Elisha says, that's all right. What do you want, oh great woman? She says, did I ever once ask you for a son? Ever once? When you decided to miraculously give me a son? When you decided it was up to you to put a baby in me? Did I ever say anything about wanting a son? And Elijah says, oh boy, what's going on with our son? With your baby. You're who's grown now. I hadn't seen him in a month and a day. And she says, well, here's the thing, oh man of God. He's fucking dead. And Elisha says, I see. Well, we can't have that. So he turns to Gehazi, his servant, and says, I want you to take my magic stick in your hand and take it down to Beth Shunem, and I want you to put it on Miracle Boy's face. Gehazi says, all right, makes as much sense as any other damn thing we've done. And so he goes down to the great woman's house, and he puts the supposedly magic stick on the dead boy's face, and nothing happens. So he goes back to Elisha, the man of God, and says, well, I tried stick magic and stick magic didn't work. And Elijah says, God damn it. I thought this was an artifact-based gig. I remember when I got old Elijah's magic robe and it parted the waters for me and let me do all kinds of stuff like call down she bears and shit. I thought this was going to be easy. Now I got to do this the hard way. Morton says, hashtag great fucking mug. Thank you, my friend. Robert says, is that how they called it back then? Yes, I believe so. Y'all forgive me. You know about the monster delay I've got in the chat. And the only way to remedy that is to pull up the stream on my phone. Universe goes like all the world. Elijah says, we'll get everybody together. He goes up to his room where they've lain the boy in state, and he closes the door. You would close the door too if your resurrection magic was going to work like this. And he lies down on top of the dead kid and puts his mouth on the dead kid's mouth and his eyes on the dead kid's eyes, which is difficult if you have a nose, but I think we're supposed to interpret this in a slightly more metaphorical way. Robert X is talking about his magic stick. Okay. Well, Elisha's apparently was detachable, so there's that. So he stretches out on top of the dead boy, which apparently used to work for Elijah. Apparently Elijah told him this story at some point, because otherwise there's no reason for us to think that he would think this would work if the stick magic didn't. He stretches out on top of the boy, and that doesn't work. So he gets up and he paces to and fro and he prays. And then he stretches out on top of the dead boy again and breathes into him. And the boy sneezes. Not once, not twice, not thrice, but 7 times. 7 times does he sneeze in the prophet's face. And the prophet gets up and says, well, that was easy. And goes and calls mama and daddy, who still ain't named, no more than the boy is named, says, hey, he's alive again. I did magic from God, and he's back. Hooray! No word on, hey, nerdy rodent, welcome, my friend. No word on whether he told the parents what manner of magic he wrought. Let's hope not. And then he leaves town. And he comes to Gilgal, where there is a dearth in the land. And the sons of the prophets. Hey, Wonder Lady is here. Hello, hello. Who never wants to sneeze ever again. I believe it. It's my gosh, all of the cool kids are here today. They keep on coming in. I love it. I have friends. This phrase, we keep encountering this phrase in this book particularly, and we've never encountered it before outside of 2 Kings, at least that I remember. This phrase, the sons of the prophets. And it always seems to mean prophets, men of God. Because if memory serves, the first time we actually encountered it was when Elijah was doing his farewell tour with Elisha in tow. And every time they'd come to a major city, the sons of the prophets would come out and tell Elisha, you know, he's going up to heaven this very day. And Elisha would say, yes, yes, I know. Stop reminding me. I don't want to think about it. But anyway, there's another little collection of sons of prophets here, but they ain't got nothing to eat. And despite the fact that they ain't got nothing to eat, Elisha says, I shall work a miracle. Get a big fucking pot and find something to put in it. And some of the sons of the prophet go out into the field and they find a vine with some gourds growing on it that they ain't never seen before. And like any good farming people, they say, look, it's a growing thing I ain't never seen before. I bet we could eat that. And without testing it, without checking in with the man of God, they take these strange gourds and they throw them in the pot and they cook them down. They start to eat and they start to get the tummy ache. Oh, man of God, they cry out to Elisha, there is death in the pot. And they all start falling out. And Elisha says, I shall do more magic. And he says, get some flour. Put the flour in the pot. Somebody goes and gets some flour and puts flour in the pot, and they start eating again. And it's fine. So like I said, Elisha's still figuring out this prophet thing. He's not good at it. Not even a little bit is he good at it. He can't figure out whether it's artifact magic or necrophilia magic. He don't know how to cook. The only thing that he's done right so far has been knock up the great woman of Shunem and do an oil multiplying miracle. Everything else he has done in this chapter, he fucks up in one way or another. How can you be this bad at having the spirit of, I don't know. Elijah would have it upon him. Nerdy says, don't put flour in the pot. Upper Deck says it puts the flour in the pot or it will get the hose. Some of y'all came from a completely different live stream and I have no idea what y'all are talking about. All right. Chapter 5. Which can't hardly be weirder, right? 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 Chapter 5. Now, Naaman. Oh, crap. Y'all gonna love this one. Amiga Nuts is 10 minutes behind and catching up. Oh, he must be doing that thing with a live stream where you fast forward. You watch me. I bet I'm weird watching at double speed. The voices and the mannerisms. I bet that's a weird experience. Okay, chapter 5. Now Naaman, captain of the host of king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because by him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper. And the Syrians had gone out by companies, and had brought away captive out of the land of Israel a little maid, and she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said unto her mistress, Would God my Lord were with the prophet that is in Samaria, for he would recover him of his leprosy. And one went in and told his Lord, saying, Thus and thus said the maid that is of the land of Israel. And the king of Syria said, Go to, go, and I will send a letter unto the king of Israel. And he departed, and took with him 10 talents of silver, and 6,000 pieces of gold, and 10 changes of raiment. And he brought the letter to the king of Israel, saying, Now when this letter is come unto thee, behold, I have therewith sent Naaman my servant to thee, that thou mayest recover him of his leprosy. And it came to pass, when the king of Israel had read the letter, that he rent his clothes, and said, Am I God to kill and make alive, that this man doth send unto me to recover a man of his leprosy? Wherefore consider, I pray you, and see how he seeketh a quarrel against me. And it was so, when Elisha the man of God had heard that the king of Israel had rent his clothes, that he sent to the king, saying, Wherefore hast thou rent thy clothes? Let him come now to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. So Naaman came with his horses and his chariot, and stood at the door of the house of Elisha. And Elisha sent a messenger unto him, saying, Go and wash in Jordan 7 times, and thy flesh shall come again to thee, and thou shalt be clean. But Naaman was wroth, and went away, and said, Behold, I thought, he will surely come out to me, and stand, and call on the name of the Lord his God, and strike his hand over the place, and recover the leper. Are not Abana and Pharpar, rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? May I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage. And his servants came near, and spake unto him, and said, My father, if the prophet bid thee do some great thing, would thou not have done it? How much rather then when he saith to thee, Wash and be clean? Then he went down and dipped himself 7 times in Jordan, according to the saying of the man of God. And his flesh came again like unto the flesh of a little child, and he was clean. And he returned to the man of God, he and all his company, and came and stood before him, and said, Behold, now I know that there is no God in all the earth but in Israel. Now therefore, I pray thee, take a blessing of thy servant. But he said, As the Lord liveth, before whom I stand, I will receive none. And he urged him to take it, but he refused. And Naaman said, Shall there not then, I pray thee, be given to thy servant 2 mules burden of earth? For thy servant will henceforth offer neither burnt offering nor sacrifice unto other gods, but unto the Lord. In this thing that the Lord pardon thy servant, that when my master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon, when I bow myself down in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing. And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way. But Gehazi, the servant of Elisha, the man of God, said, Behold, my master hath spared Naaman, this Syrian, in not receiving at his hands that which he brought. But as the Lord liveth, I will run after him, and take somewhat of him. So Gehazi followed after Naaman. And when Naaman saw him running after him, he lighted down from the chariot to meet him, and said, Is all well? And he said, All is well. My master hath sent me, saying, Behold, even now there be come to me from Mount Ephraim 2 young men of the sons of the prophets. Give them, I pray thee, a talent of silver and 2 changes of garments. And Naaman said, Be content, take 2 talents. And he urged him, and bound up 2 talents of silver in 2 bags with 2 changes of garments, and laid them upon 2 of his servants, and they bare them before him. And when he came to the tower, he took them from their hand, and bestowed them in the house, and let them go, and they departed. but he went in and stood before his master, and Elisha said unto him, whence comest thou, O Gehazi? And he said, thy servant went no whither. And he said unto him, went not mine heart with thee when the man turned again from his chariot to meet thee? Is it a time to receive money and to receive garments and olive yards, vineyards and sheep and oxen and men servants and maid servants? The leprosy therefore of Naaman shall cleave unto thee as a leper, as white the book of 2 Kings. But still, chat will let me scroll. I will do it. I'm kidding. He says the sound and soup, a month's worth of magic and miracle air. Get out of here. That's on captive. Add Mr. Shadow. Oh, sure, nothing is only tab that's open. 1 minute and not glitching out of some. I'm just gonna stall. I'll do a little dance. No, I won't. Let me see here. Well, it's letting me scroll the chat again. Gosh. Yay. Okay. I'm going to scroll back real quick. Okay, there we go. Dinosaurs. Let's see. I remember that. Nerdy, should we call Dr. Dino, says Morton. No, do not call Dr. Dino. I only want to hear from Dr. Dino if I make it big enough to where he does whack an atheist day on me. That would be the second happiest day of my life. I would be so happy. Robert X says, you're weird on single speed, but we still love you. Oh, thank you, Robert. Amiga Nut says, this is really great at double speed. You should try last week's stream at double speed. If you want to see something really fucking weird, skip ahead to the 50-minute mark when I do my rocking out prophet bit, and then you'll see weird. Joan says there's a book in Dutch, Brief aan de Koning, which is a way better book than the Bible. Let's see. Yeah, Joan says, Gehazi is asking for a friend. Yes, this is officially the first recorded instance of asking for a friend. All right, now we're back down into when it was buffering. And I'm back, says Paul, and Math Pig made it home. Yes, I broke the computer, Math Pig. No, apparently what happens is our bandwidth is only sufficient for me to stream out and Julie can't even watch it at the same time. Yeah, and we're not even on. I'm not even on Wi-Fi. I'm plugged into a hard line. I've got the Wi-Fi on this thing turned off, like manually, the switch on the side. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm out of my depth on the tech business. Please, oh gods of YouTube, do not pick the moment when I held up that mug as the thumbnail for this stream. Oh, so Naaman the Syrian. We switch over to a sort of a meanwhile back at the ranch business, where we go next door to the kingdom of Syria, where during some raiding party or another, I am visually glitching on my end. Y'all let me know if anything starts getting weird. I know we're approaching that magic 1 hour mark when the universe tends to say no more junk shop for you. So the forces of the king of Syria have at some point captured a small maid, which by the standards of the time means really fucking young girl. Since, I mean, that means like not even marriageable age, and you could be married at like fucking 12. Pawn 2, general in the king, mighty man, phobic, one of those weird, and then you'll be called saying, oh, leprous, Rainbug says, rope. Despite being as to, we've got a, was captain of Israel's host instead, because then he'd be able to heal him, because Israelite prophets only cure stuff for Israelites and not their deadly rivals, apparently. Fancy that. And so word of this this pronouncement by Naaman's wife's maid gets back to the king of Syria, and he says, oh shit, they can cure leprosy over there? Fuck. And he gathers up a small fortune in clothes and precious metals and sends them over to the king of Israel along with Naaman the Syrian and says, here, heal my mighty man of war. And the king of Israel says, oh my God, that is the lamest pretense for declaring war that I've ever heard. But oh my God, we're so screwed. The Syrians want war with us so bad that they sent me a leper and instructions to cleanse him. We're fucked. And he throws such a temper tantrum and such a panic that word of it eventually gets over to Elisha. And Elisha goes to the king and says, what are you throwing such a hissy fit about? Bring him to me. I'm a man of God. I can do miracles. I promise I'm getting better at it. Used to be all I could. I'm getting better at it. I promise. I know I used to suck at it, and I know I almost killed some people when I tried to do the stone soup trick, but I'm getting better at it. And then he goes back to his house. And so the king of Israel sends Naaman the Syrian to the prophet's house. But Elisha ain't messing with no lepers. He stays his ass in the house. And he sends out Gehazi, his servant, or at least a servant. We assume it's Gehazi, because no other servant of Elisha's been named. He sends his servant out with word that in order to cure his leprosy, Naaman has to go take a bath in the Jordan, which is at the time not known for its cleanliness. It is a crappy little river full of crap. It starts up north at the Sea of Galilee and runs all the way down through Judea and Samaria and eventually dumps out into the Red Sea and is used as essentially waste collection along the way by cities ranging from Nazareth up north all the way down to Jerusalem. And so by the time you get to Jerusalem, it's nasty as fuck. And then, of course, the Dead Sea. And Naaman blows his top and leaves in a huff. Hey, Angie, welcome. Oh, she's watching it on her new laptop. Hooray. Glad. Oh, and she's got a new house, too. It's awesome. Anybody hadn't seen that video, that means you're not subscribed to Angie's channel, which means you're a bad person. And Junk Shop says you must go immediately after this stream is finished and subscribe to Angie's channel. Also sprach Junk Shop. Morton says, yeah, he's not exactly Dumbledore. Okay, so Naaman throws a fit. And he says, look, I came all this way. I dragged all this heavy-ass gold and silver and new clothes and shit. I went to the king, and the king wouldn't do anything for me. He sent me to a prophet in his little hut, and the prophet wouldn't even see me. He sent his servant out to see me. I deserve better than that. I'm a mighty man of valor. I deserve to see the prophet face to face. And when the prophet sends his servant out to me, doesn't even have the courtesy to see me face to face, he's got this marvelous idea that I should go take a bath in the fucking Jordan River. We got rivers back home, motherfucker. I could have taken a bath. If taking a bath was good enough to cure me of leprosy, you think I hadn't tried taking a bath? You think I hadn't tried washing this shit? God damn it. And when he finishes pitching his fit, his servants come up to him and say, okay, here's the thing. If he had told you to, I don't know, build an altar when you got home and sacrifice 1,000 bullocks to Yahweh, God of Israel, and forswear the worshiping of all other gods, or if he had asked you for 1,000 Philistine foreskins, or if he You know, if he told you to go do something impressive, wouldn't you have fucking done that, my lord? So when the prophet tells you go take a bath, what harm can there possibly be, even if it is the Jordan? You can wash in the Abra when we get back home. But, I mean, just fucking do it. Just fucking do it. All the way to it, and he's gone. I'll smell the God. I need to win power. Alias, you know, if you, I essentially just do what my brother-in-law and Math Pig and Dave tell me, and that's it. So thanks to my brother-in-law and to Dave and Math Pig, without whose assistance we would not be here today. As always. All right. So Naaman goes back to Elisha and says, I forswear all the other gods, because yours is real, because he healed me of leprosy. But here's the thing. The king of Syria, to whom I'm a little bit, enthralled. The king of Syria is a devotee of a god called Rimmon. And he takes me with him to do worship to Rimmon. You think you could convince Yahweh to pardon me if I just do a little obeisance to Rimmon, just for show, as long as I don't pray in my heart? Do you think because it would make my life absolute hell if I tried to explain to the king that I wasn't going to go with him to the house of Rimmon and do worship anymore. So any chance, I mean, I can pray to Yahweh in my heart while I'm bowing to Rimmon. It's, that is a thing that could happen. Elisha says, that'll be fine. Just fucking go. Jesus Christ. Naaman says, well, let me reward you. You healed me of leprosy. Let me give you gold and silver and shit. And Elisha says, nah, just doing my job. Finally figured out how to prophet and miracle. So I'm just happy that it fucking worked the first goddamn time this time. So give me the credit. I mean, give God the credit, and you go back home and you do your thing, Mr. Neighboring Kingdom's warlord. And Naaman said, well, I've got to give you something. So how about as much dirt as 2 mules can carry? And Elisha says, to do what? Fine, give me your 2 asses loads of dirt and be on your way. So Naaman gives him 2 ass loads of dirt and goes on his way. And Gehazi gets pissed. And Gehazi does a stupid. Gehazi says, I was hoping to get something out of this. I knew that Naaman was going to give Elisha more money and shit than he could possibly ever use, because he lives all frugal and prophet-like and shit. I was hoping to get something out of it. So he waits until Elisha goes to his room, and he runs after Naaman. Naaman sees him running after him. And Naaman alights from his chariot. Not a small gesture for a man of stature and renown. Alights from his chariot and says, you're the servant of that prophet that healed me, aren't you? I saw you back at the house. You were the one who came out to tell me to take a bath. And Gehazi says, yeah. And here's the thing. I know Elisha said he wouldn't take no reward, but we got these 2 other broke-ass prophets, and they need a year's wages in silver and 2 changes of clothes. Naaman says, well, shit, I was prepared to give the prophet way more than that. So here, have 2 years' wages in silver and also 2 changes of clothes and also 2 servants to carry that heavy ass silver and stuff back to the prophet's house and disperse it. And Gehazi gets back to Elisha's house and stows his 2 years' wages in silver and his 2 new changes of clothes safely in his room, and then goes to check on Elisha. And Elisha says, where the hell have you been? And he says, nowhere. And Elisha says, I saw you. I know you've been with me all this time, and I used to be a shit prophet. But I'm a good prophet now, and I have mastered the art of astral projection. I sent my spirit along with you and saw you go and ask Naaman the Syrian for shit. And it is not the time. And since you did such a stupid, you and your descendants forever shall be leprous. And he gives him leprosy. And that's how you prophet. He's getting good at this shit. At least Elijah just burned folks alive. He didn't curse them throughout all their generations for time to come with fucking leprosy. In Israel, where leper means banished and outlawed beyond ken of your fellow men, as opposed to in Syria. I don't know. Maybe Gehazi can just go next door to Syria, since apparently they don't have a problem with lepers, at least not to the extent that the Israelites do. Ugh. Weird. Fucking. How bad is the roboting going? Oh, yes. Always feel free to shill, brain bug. Y'all shill each other. Y'all shill me. I mean, you don't necessarily have to shill me because my links are in the description below, but feel free. We've been going. Try another chat. Let me know. Oh, prophet means half of God. Just sort of can do commune with God and get word to and from him if need be. He's mostly a court magician and sometimes a traveling magician. And it's not until later in the book that prophets tend to receive extensive word from the Lord about future events. So it'll be a while until we start getting thus saith the Lord, this will happen in the future, to any extent beyond your line shall be cursed and your kingdom taken away, which has happened quite a few times, but just usually when somebody really, really fucks up. Brainbug chillin' while chillin'. Morton says keep going. All right. Well, I'm going to assume that means we're not scrabbling too bad with the Wi-Fi at this point. So we'll see if the internet will last us through chapter 6. Good at the moment, says Brainbug. Thank you, my friend. Good to know, good to know, good to know. Everybody shilling each other. Good, good. Friends take care of friends. All right, chapter 6. Let's see what weird shit we get up to in chapter 6. And the sons of the prophet said unto Elisha, Behold now, the place where we dwell with thee is too strait for us. Let us go, we pray thee, unto Jordan, and take thence every man a beam, and let us make a place there where we may dwell. And he answered, Go ye. And one said, Be content, I pray thee, and go with thy servants. And he answered, I will go. So he went with them. And when they came to Jordan, they cut down wood. But as one was felling a beam, the axe head fell into the water. And he cried and said, Alas, master, for it was borrowed. And the man of God said, Where fell it? And he shewed him the place. And he did cut a stick, and cast it in thither, and the iron did swim. Therefore said he, Take it up to thee. And he put out his hand and took it. Then the king of Syria warred against Israel, and took counsel with his servants, saying, In such and such a place shall be my camp. And the man of God sent unto the king of Israel, saying, Beware that thou pass not such a place, for thither the Syrians are come down. And the king of Israel sent to the place which the man of God told him, and warned him of, and saved himself there not once nor twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was sore troubled for this thing. And he called his servants, and said unto them, Will ye not shew me which of us is for the king of Israel? And one of his servants said, None, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet that is in Israel, telleth the king of Israel the words that thou speakest in thy bedchamber. And he said, Go and spy where he is, that I may send and fetch him. And it was told to him, saying, Behold, he is in Dothan. Therefore sent he thither horses and chariots and a great host, and they came by night and compassed the city about. And when the servant of the man of God was risen early and gone forth, behold, an host encompassed the city, both with horses and chariots. And his servants said unto him, Alas, my master, how shall we do? And he answered, Fear not, for they that be with us are more than they that be with them. And Elisha prayed and said, Lord, I pray thee, open his eyes that he may see. And the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire round about Elisha. And when they came down to him, Elisha prayed unto the Lord and said, Smite this people, I pray thee, with blindness. And he smote them with blindness, according to the word of Elisha. And Elisha said unto them, This is not the way, neither is this the city. Follow me, and I will bring you to the man whom ye seek. But he led them to Samaria. And it came to pass, when they were come into Samaria, that Elisha said, Lord, open the eyes of these men, that they may see. And the Lord opened their eyes, and they saw, and behold, they were in the midst of Samaria. And the king of Israel said unto Elisha, when he saw them, My father, shall I smite them? Shall I smite them? And he answered, Thou shalt not smite them. Wouldest thou smite them, those whom thou hast taken captive, with thy sword and with thy bow? Set bread and water before them, that they may eat and drink, and go to their master. And he prepared great provision for them. And when they had eaten and drunk, he sent them away, and they went to their master. So the band of Samaria came no more into the land of Israel. And it came to pass after this, that Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, gathered all his host, and went up and besieged Samaria. And there was a great famine in Samaria, and behold, they besieged it, until an ass's head was sold for 80 pieces of silver, and the fourth part of a cab of dove's dung for 5 pieces of silver. And as the king of Israel was passing by upon the wall, there cried a woman unto him, saying, Help, my lord, O king. And he said, If the Lord do not help thee, whence shall I help thee? Out of the barn floor, or out of the winepress? And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, This woman said unto me, Give thy son, that we may eat him today, and we will eat my son tomorrow. So we boiled my son, and did eat him. And I said unto her on the next day, Give thy son, that we may eat him. And she hath hid her son. And it came to pass, when the king heard the words of the woman, that he rent his clothes, and he passed by upon the wall. And the woman looked, the people looked, and behold, he had sackcloth within upon his flesh. Then he said, God do so, and more also to me, if the head of Elisha, the son of Shaphat, shall stand on him this day. But Elisha sat in his house, and the elders sat with him. And the king sent a man from before him, but ere the messenger came to him, he said to the elders, See ye how this son of a murderer hath sent to take away mine head? Look, when the messenger cometh, shut the door, and hold him fast at the door. Is not the sound of his master's feet behind him? And while he yet talked with them, behold, the messenger came down unto him, and he said, Behold, this evil is of the Lord. What should I wait for the Lord any longer? And that's the end of 6. Second Kings, y'all. We got cannibalism. But first, more stick magic. Everybody who went to Sunday school and church back in their Sunday school and church days knows this story. The borrowed axe head that floated because Elisha threw a stick in the water. D, some cool stuff. The Mars, I'll need to check that. Okay, so before we get to the cannibalism, we've got to do the Jedi mind trick. So the king of Israel does not listen to the prophet. Not first time, won't be last time. The man of God sends word to the king of Israel saying, All right, I got bad news. The Sumerians have come to do war, and they've gone to such and such a place. Don't go to such and such a place, because there's Sumerians there. And the king goes there anyway, and gets himself all beat up by the Sumerians. And then, or the Syrians, rather, sorry, the Syrians. And then the king of Syria remembers that the Israelites have a prophet, a good prophet, who can do magic, like heal people of leprosy and shit. And he knows this because of Naaman, the Syrian. The king of Syria remembers that there's a prophet, and he says, I want that prophet for me. And he sends a big-ass army to capture him, a prophet. And this big-ass army surrounds the city where Elisha is living. in the middle of the night, all creepsy and tricksy. And in the morning, when he wakes up, Elisha's servant takes his morning coffee out on the roof, and he stretches, and he looks around. Yeah! There's a whole fucking army of Syrians encamped round about the city, and he runs to his master and says, "Oh, master, there's a fucking Syrian army. They surround the whole city. We gonna die." And Elisha says, "You're dumb." He says, "Lord, let him see what I see." And the Lord shows him that there are chariots and horses of flame surrounding the city. And the servant says, "Okay, I guess we're going to be all right then." And then Elisha either calls over the wall or goes down to the crowd. It's a little unclear as to in which order. But first, he prays that the entire Syrian army go blind. Probably not actually blind, just like metaphorically blind, fogged in the mind, because he's about to take them on quite a little journey. And trying to do that with a whole bunch of blind fuckers and their horses would be an endeavor. And then he goes down to the Syrian army and says, "You're in the wrong place, my friends. The prophet is not here. Come with me, and I will take you to the place where the prophet is, and then you can grab his ass and take him back to the king of Syria." And he promptly leads them into the neighboring kingdom. And then he says, "Lord, open their eyes." And they look around and they say, This ain't Israel. It's fucking Samaria. There's not going to be any prophet of Israel. How the fuck did we end up in Samaria? There's not going to be any prophet of Israel here. And they go back to the house. Jones says, "Hey, who's the servant? Not Gehazi." Well, surely not, because he's done fucked up and gotten himself and his entire seed after him cursed with leprosy. But apparently Elisha was able to find another servant, despite the fact that he cursed his last one with leprosy. Good help is so hard to find. All right, well, I did actually skip something by mistake. Sorry, y'all. And while they were encamped in Samaria, all confused because they were lost, the king of Israel gets ready to get his smite on. And he turns to Elisha and says, "Now that we've got them all lost and confused and surrounded in Samaria, can we get our smite on?" And Elisha says, "You shall not get thy smite on. You shall instead feed them with a great feast and then send them home." The king of Israel says, "You prophets are a weird breed." So he fixes a great feast for the Syrian army and sends them home. Little time passes. And the scene cuts to Samaria, where there's a terrible famine. And no matter what anybody does, the famine continues. The king of Israel, the king, takes to walking around with sackcloth under his royal robes in penitence. Nobody knows how they fucked up, but they done fucked up. Apparently, apparently, because that's how God shows you that you fucked up, is he smites you with some plague or takes away all your food. Well, this famine goes on for a while. Long enough to where the head of a dead donkey is worth a staggering amount of money. And so is a small pile of bird shit to cook it over. Yep. Angie Dell says, what? No smiting? Nope. No smiting that time. Perfect opportunity for smiting, but God said nope. Right. So one day, the king of Israel is walking to and fro upon the wall around Samaria, and he hears crying and carrying on. Crying and carrying on. And he looks down from the wall and he sees this woman crying and carrying on. And he says, nobody can find this old my door, spare pill and eat his royal wall under his. And then he decides he knows whose fault it is. It's the fault of the prophet, the shitty prophet Elisha. Kill the messenger. And he sends people to kill the messenger. And when the messenger killers draw near, Elisha, who despite his tendency to rely on crappy stick magic and to fuck things up and not to be able to maintain control over his servants, has still mastered the art of astral projection, sees the messenger killers coming and turns to the other prophets who are with him, who apparently can't see or do shit, and say, those are the messengers of the king, and they come to take my head. Please close the door and do not let them in. And they do. And that's the end of the chapter. It's what we call a cliffhanger. And if you want to know more, you'll just have to tune back in, same time, same station on Wednesday. That will be Wednesday, the 20th of this month, Wednesday of this week, the 20th of this month, when we will find out whether Elisha gets to keep his head. Angie says, I love this show so much. Thank you. Really, sincerely, thank you. I love doing it, and I'm so glad to have found a community of people who love engaging with me while we do it. It's the most fun I've had in I don't know how long. Yes, so vengeance for cannibalism. In vengeance for cannibalism, the king seeks the head of Elisha. Tune in on Wednesday to find out if he gets his wish. No, Dave. No, Dave. That's the whole point of a cliffhanger. You're not supposed to read ahead. cliffhangers don't cliffhang if you find out if the cliffhanging results in death or salvation. Nerdy giving us spoilers. Damn you. All right. Well, we've been going a little over 90 minutes. We have survived that many chapters, and we have experienced only, by the standards of the library, relatively minor technical difficulties. It's amazing. It's a miracle. All right. Well, we will see y'all again on Wednesday, 2000 hours UK time. Thank you, Paul. And 2 p.m. Central for those of us in the States. And then I've got one other thing I got to plug, because I'm going to do improv Bible study Wednesday and Friday of this week. On Thursday, I think also at 2, but I'll have to double check. I will be on David Worley's podcast, being interviewed. And Brainbug and I are going to talk. We don't know about what yet, but thanks for reminding me, my friend, because I'm all lost and confused this week. Energetic and excited, but all lost and confused. So, once again, everybody, thank you so much for coming. Thank you for joining. Thank y'all for shilling in the chat and chatting away. Dave on Wednesday 2200 has the Lucy special. Okay, so we've got start time, and we've got a definite end time then. Paul says, give us a link, but I don't know to what. Somebody give Paul the link that he wants. Because I don't dare open another tab to try to grab a link, because my computer is beginning to struggle. It gave us an extra 37 minutes and change past when it normally fucks off into oblivion for us. Disorganized, but Paul Camish and for the strong on Patreon, you are immensely appreciated, as is everybody in the chat. I've got a wonderful core group of people dubbed the Smiters. Thank you, Lynn. And okay, Dave, good. Okay, thank you. And we will reconvene Wednesday, same time, same station. Until then, as always, everybody take care, be safe, fight against hate, and just generally be kind. I think I may have stolen that from Michelle Guido. She's the unapologetic feminist on YouTube. You can find her link on my homepage because I love her stuff. If I did indeed steal that from her, now she's been chilled. Bye, everybody. End broadcast. Yes. Check box. Come on, computer. Do what I tell you.